You might be wondering, what does a designer have to do with Hashimoto's? But oh, so much, because so many of the symptoms we deal with when we have thyroid issues and autoimmunity, so it's that fatigue, the brain fog, the overwhelm, they're not just physical, they're emotional and environmental too. And what's around us matters just as much as what's happening inside of us. And that's exactly why I'm so excited for today's guest, the amazing and inspiring Sabrina Soto. She's a designer, she's a TV host, and now the creator of the Sabrina Soto Show, where she brings together design, wellness, and mindset in a really, really beautiful way. And Sabrina really bridges that gap. And the connection really between what's happening in our mind, what's happening in our body, and what's happening in our environment. And so I'm so excited to have her here. Sabrina, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like we're going to have a really, really good chat.
Oh, I'm so excited. So, for anyone living with Hashimoto's or thyroid issues, this conversation I think really hits home because so often it can feel like we have so many things we want to do, and yet they feel out of reach because our energy, our focus, even our sense of calm isn't always there. And we want to make changes, right? But we don't always feel like we're ready or maybe even capable in the moment. And Sabrina, your story is just so inspirational. So we have to start there. Can you take us back to that moment when you were sitting in Baja Fresh, that moment that changed so much for you?
It's so funny. For people who don't know what the heck we're talking about, I was on Kathy Heller's podcast a few months ago and told this story. And I told Kathy afterwards that I have been on podcasts obviously before, but this story resonated with so many people because I think all of us at one point or another have been there. So the story is I was working in real estate. I was newly married to a good guy. I had a good house. I had a good job. I had a good amount of savings. Everything was good on paper. And I was sitting, it was lunch rush. It was a lunch break in this job that I had. And I was standing in this line that I was in a lot in Baja Fresh getting my lunch burrito, and something that overwhelming came over me. Like, I don't belong here. I don't belong in this lunch rush. I don't belong in this life like this way. Like, something just felt off. But from the outside looking at my life, you would think I had it all. Like, I should have just been happy with status quo, just like everything was going quote unquote right. But I just knew at that moment that I wanted to do something different. I just didn't know necessarily how I was going to get there, but I just knew in this life this wasn't enough for me. And if I stayed in that just accepting things as is, I would have regretted it. And I didn't even want to say it out loud to anyone because I didn't want to seem ungrateful or that I wasn't happy. I didn't want to say it to my then husband. And that night, I remember my friend Erin had kept telling me about this documentary, The Secret, that her dad had told her about. Now, this was before it was on Oprah. This was before like it was even a book. It was this documentary that you had to pay $4 and I think 95 cents to watch on your computer. And I watched that night and everything in my life changed the next day. I I was woken up early and I started living my life as if I was going to have an opportunity to do something creative on TV. And I just didn't know what it was before. But lo and behold, I found on Craigslist list the next day a job offering that was looking for a designer who had TV credit. Now, that's a whole other story. Like, I had no business responding to that ad, but I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose at this point. And I don't want to use the word desperate because I wasn't desperate, but I was inspired to change something in my life. Long story short, that next day ad that I responded to was my first HGTV show, Get It Sold.
Which is just amazing. And like you said, you didn't necessarily have TV credit. Like, how did you even say yes to that? Like, what went through your mind? You're like, I'm going to respond.
I think that I was I had been on TV before, but doing host stuff here and there. I'd never done design stuff in the capacity that they were expecting someone to host a show. But I just felt like I'm just going to throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and see which one sticks. And I was in such a mindset of, and I don't know, have you ever watched The Secret, the
Yeah.
documentary?
Hmm.
Okay. So one,
Also, with like with you back in the day when you had to
yeah,
pay for
this
it.
was 2006. So we're talking 19 years ago.
Yeah. That's
But
exactly when I watched it. Mhm.
yeah, I remember just feeling this, knowing that I had control over my life when, before I watched the documentary, I felt like everything was out of my control and I was just sort of privy to whatever opportunities were given to me instead of it just sort of woke me up and shook up my belief that no, it's not about what everybody else is bringing to you. It's what you believe you're worthy of and creating, sort of moving around your life, knowing that these opportunities are coming. So that next day I started working out. I started looking at wardrobe to be on TV. And again, like no one was calling me, but I just had this overwhelming feeling that something was coming. And I just knew it was going to come. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, I didn't know through which avenue, but I knew like when it comes, I better be ready. And so I started
Mm.
getting ready.
Wow, that's so interesting. So yeah, they haven't called you back yet, but you started doing all of the things after you've replied to that ad, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that, and I think that is so, I just think that's so important, right? Because what we put out to the universe, right? Like is what we get back. And so if there's something that we want, it's not just saying, okay, I'm here, I'm going to pull this thing that's over there to me, but it's like we have to be there, be it, right? Like, which is exactly what you're saying. So then what happened? You started doing that. You're working out, you're looking at your
I'm
wardrobe. Then
working
what?
out, I'm eating differently. I am looking at wardrobe to see what would look good on camera. My then husband thought I had gone crazy because no one's calling. And I was still working. I was still doing that job that was making me quote unquote good money, but I was not happy. I was so not happy in that job. But I still knew that I had a mortgage to pay, I had bills to pay. But I started just kind of getting excited about new opportunities that were about to come. And 16 weeks later, I was on set filming the show. So before that, between me putting, replying to that ad on Craigslist in the 16 weeks, I got an audition. I had a lot of phone calls with a production company. And I also had to make a huge move. So I lived in LA at that time. I do again now, but that show was filming in Washington, D.C. So I had to move, which was a big leap. It was a huge change. I had to leave my, partner, my husband at the time. I had to leave our house. I had to move to a city where I didn't know one person, but I just didn't care. I was so happy. It was my whole life changed. My whole life changed. But I know a lot of people who are listening to this who are dealing with health issues. There's a whole other category that you're dealing with of sometimes you have all of the plans in the world to wake up the next day and feel like, okay, tomorrow's going to be my Monday. I'm going to get started. And then sometimes you feel such low energy that you can't get out of bed, just frustrated because you almost feel like your body is failing you. And like, I know that feeling because of things that I've dealt with in my health, but I also have a friend, a really good friend of mine who deals with Hashimoto's, and I hear her frustration a lot. So also know that there's no set time that you have to get things done. Like it's okay to push things off. Like there's no deadline and things could happen behind the scenes, even if you do kind of stay in bed, for hours at a time. Like there are seed when you plant seeds, though the whatever you're planting, it's growing underneath the soil. You just sometimes can't see it, but there's always progress that's happening behind the scenes that you just aren't privy to.
Absolutely. That is so true. And I think that if you're living in the way where you know what you want, or at least you know aspects of what you want. Sometimes we don't know exactly what we want, but we know certain things. Like we want to have more energy, right? We want to have a certain type of job or a certain type of life, or even just we have certain interests that we want to be able to do more. Like we want to maybe go on more trips or go skiing or whatever it is. Even if you're tired, just kind of knowing those things. I love what you're saying, that you're planting those seeds. And if you, and even if when you are resting, right? Like we talk about this a lot, like there's nothing wrong with rest. You're not lazy if you're resting. It's
No.
actually so important for our nervous system, right? So then if we can, as we rest, right, we can listen to things that are inspirational about an area, right, that we're
Exactly.
working on.
Okay, so think about it this way. Like you're 100% right. And we are in a society that is like the go, 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 boss babe mode all the time, and yeah, sure. But what you're saying, like, what can you do? Let's say you do have a day of rest that you just don't have the energy to go, go, go and get in your computer and start creating emails. Let's just say it's a day of rest. What can you do? Listening to empowering podcasts like this, reading a book that maybe you wouldn't have the time. So it's not a make it a win-win situation. You're resting and you're feeding your mind and soul with good information. And if you do read a book and then you want to take a break and watch some rom-com, that's okay too.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think so much of it also it kind of resonates in terms of your story too, right? That you started doing things before you felt ready, before the opportunity was even there. So what can people do? Let's just say they want to do have more energy to be able to exercise more, right? Or be able to go on a trip or even maybe change their career like you did. But they're feeling like they're tired and they can't quite, and they may not even know exactly what it is, they can't quite grasp it. What are some little things that they could do to sort of get into that mindset?
Okay, well, I mean, I could a whole that could be a whole other like podcast because I do feel like women especially are drained of energy we are pulled in so many different directions. So I would first do an audit on where you're actually spending your energy. And I bet whoever is listening, there is someone in your life or something that you're doing that you're spending energy on that is sucking the life out of you. And, it sounds cutthroat, but if we were really aware of how important our energy is, we would be a little bit more, we would safeguard it more. And I had to do this last year of like really looking at my friendships, really looking at my relationships, really looking at my habits and figuring out where I was screwing up in a sense. Like where I was really allowing things in that didn't need to have space. So that's like a good, easy thing to do. And then, also taking care of yourself and your nervous system, also taking care of your home. We talked about it, you spoke about this early in like the intro, but you would be surprised how your home can suck the energy out of you. And it shouldn't be that way. Your home should be a sanctuary. Your home should hold you and nurture you. And unfortunately, I have been through hundreds, if not thousands, of homes throughout my career. And I see that a lot of people are letting their home just drag them down and suck the life out of them.
And oh my gosh, that is so big. And I definitely want to get into this in detail because I think so many people can really benefit from this. So, we were talking about the nervous system, right? And how important it is. And it's such a key to healing. So much of what's happening in our home, like you said, is going to suck the life out of things and affect our nervous system. So, let's start with what does it mean to have a nervous system design? I know you talk about that, and how can we start? And then I have lots and lots of follow-up questions for you on
I'm
that.
in the middle of writing my book about this, about how your home is a tool in your well-being. And it could be small things. For me, I like to be warm and cozy. So I'm talking to you right now. I have cozy slippers on and I'm wrapped in a heated blanket because I love being warm and cozy. So I sit at this desk. This is my work desk. And I sit here a lot. I'm writing a book, but in order for me to feel supported with textiles, I have these things. Now, this is my personal preference. For everyone, it's going to be different, but taking care of thresholds. So when you walk in the front door, do you have a pair of cozy slippers if that's important to you to switch out of your work shoes? Do you have clutter waiting for you, junk mail piles? Or, do you have like a really pretty plant or a picture of your family that makes you smile? It's those small little touches throughout your life, throughout your home, that can either drag you down or lift you up. And it's about making those small little shifts. It's the smallest thing of like making your bed every morning. It takes a few minutes, but studies have shown that people are way more productive throughout their day if they make that change. And then when you get to bed that night, you feel proud of yourself that you're coming home to you're going to rest feeling productive, feeling organized. Cluttered homes, especially with women. UCLA did a study years ago that shows like cortisol levels went up, especially with women when they're around clutter and chaos. So the kitchen counters, we're all guilty of it. Those piles of mail that you haven't gotten to. It's taking the time to start creating small little systems throughout your home to make your home work for you and not the other way around.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those systems because I think that could be so helpful. So you mentioned mail. I think probably almost everyone listening, myself included, I actually just did a system for mail, but for years I did not have one and it drove me nuts. Now, would I tell you, oh, Sabrina, my mail drives me nuts? No, because it was not even something I realized. But
That's
yeah,
right.
it's everywhere. And the way my kitchen is set up, the counter is just kind of this place that everything ends up. And
The catch-all.
oh my gosh, the clutter, like it really drives me nuts. But it wasn't, I don't think I was able to even articulate that, oh, it's the mail that was doing it. It was like, oh, there's the kid stuff and this and that. But the mail was really like the center and then everything sort of stemmed from there. So, what are some systems that people can use for that?
I have the easiest fix for mail.
Okay.
Your mailbox is outside for the most part. Some people have like a little slot in their door, but for the most part, people have their mailbox somewhere outside. What else is outside is your recycling bin. So when you get your mail, all that junk mail that you don't need, do not even bring it inside the house. Literally go walk over to the recycling bin and put it outside. And then, maybe one day take your time to take yourself off of the mailing lists of stuff that you don't want so that you don't even get it anymore. But just that small little change of like, it doesn't even make it into the house because what ends up happening is that you you grab it in a pinch, you put it in on your kitchen counter, and then every day it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you have to sift through all of these things to get to your bills and the things that are important. So it's just about those small micro changes to make your life a lot more manageable.
That's really, really smart because, yeah, I mean, I bring mine inside all the time, but the garbage can's right there.
It's right there, but then also like doing paperless bills, like e-bills, so you're having less to deal with. It's like, how can we make our lives a little bit less stressful?
Yeah. Now, with your mail, do you have a system where you have like incoming mail and then mail that's going out? Is it organized or how do you do that?
I do the junk mail. I get it out, and then I've gotten myself off of a lot of mailing lists, but obviously still stuff still comes in. I just bring in the stuff that needs to be dealt with, and I'll put it on my desk, and that pile cannot make it by like Saturday. It's got to be taken care of. When I take care of that during the week is dependent on me and my schedule, but come Saturday morning, those bills are paid and everything is taken care of. I also have I'm notorious for to-do lists, and I sometimes end up transferring to-do lists from one notebook to another. And now I have this system that if it makes it into the second list and it takes less than 5 minutes to do, I just get it done.
Mhm. That's really smart. Now, what about kids stuff? So, for us who have kids, there's handouts and permission slips and like so many things that come in their backpacks. Do you
Yeah.
have a system for that? Because for me, that also ends up on the kitchen counter. And I know for so many other people too.
Yeah, that's okay to have piles like for each kid of the permission slips and the homework that has to get done, but everything should be again taken care of by that Friday because all the homework needs to be turned in for the most part. Permission slips need to be returned. So we don't want to walk into our weekends with chaos. So
Mm.
it's about just getting those things done. But like, yes, our kids come with stuff. One thing I love as a mom are baskets. I love a basket. I love trays and baskets. Trays for days. I love baskets because you could just throw everything in there and each kid could have their own tray too to make it easier to organize.
That's great. Now, what about other places in the kitchen? Um, there's so many different things where, we can have obviously drawers and shelves and everything else. But for especially people who are dealing with health issues, it is important that we try to eat healthy, that we cook when we can. But it's hard to do when the kitchen isn't organized. So
Yeah.
tell us more about that because I'm sure you have lots of systems and lots of ideas there.
I don't have a huge kitchen. I have to make sure that the stuff, like I have to pare down a lot of my stuff. I don't have room for a million gadgets. But I do, because of all the clients that I work with, realize that people have just too much stuff in their kitchen that they're not using, spices that are like years old, So I would maybe even one weekend tackle kitchen chaos. And it's okay to have a junk drawer, one junk drawer. It's okay
Just one.
because yeah, just one. But in the kitchen, it's about creating a space that feels fun to cook in. And if you're just, it's like you open your spice drawers, everything's like all over the place. There's stuff that's old, there's stuff that's spilled. Like it doesn't feel fun to create in a space like that. So it's about getting organized in that space first. But I just feel like in kitchens, especially, it tends to be a catch-all for a lot of different things. But first, like clearing the clutter, like first and foremost. And I think it's really nice to have like a little, if you're dealing with like health issues and you have a lot of supplements, having a special like little cabinet for all of your supplements and medicines too.
Yeah, that's definitely a great idea. I have one. It's not little. Um,
Yeah, me neither. I have a huge one too. It's actually in my garage. And it
oh,
makes me like all my medication kind of supplements and powders and all that it's like it's like sitting right here. Actually, I'm looking at it. I love it because I love opening up this metal cabinet and having all of my supplements just there. And I feel like it's where I go to feel healthy. I don't know. It's just to me, it's like a mind thing, but I just love that it's all in one little place and it's like organized. And I feel like if I'm feeling low energy, I can go in there and look at which supplement I should take. And it just feels nice and
yeah.
inspiring.
That's great. It's inspiring. You have that choice too. Yeah, my
Yeah.
drawer, my cabinet has gotten smaller now. I have Thyroid, which is like a one-all for Hashimoto, so I have less things, but I still had so many other things before, so I have that, and then I have my other side where it's like I'll just pick and choose what I need that day. So I do the same thing too.
Fun. I love it.
Now, what about how we're organizing our pots and pans and, some of the other things? Like, is there a way that you find is easier, or is it kind of, I mean, I'm assuming it depends on everyone's kitchen, but is there just certain types of processes that you use that can make things a little bit easier with cooking?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have at like arms, like being able to reach, they have a lot of pots and pans that they never use. So put the huge pots that you use for the turkey on Thanksgiving or the huge like chili bowl or a pot that you use once a year, put those away. And the stuff that you're constantly using, that small little like egg pan and the small little saucepan, put those like at, where you could reach them every single day. Because if you're constantly having to fight with the stuff that you're not using, it's just seasonally to get the stuff that you need, it just becomes, again, another hurdle you have to go to. Like, we've got enough stuff going on in our lives. So, really organize stuff that you really need every day to be at at eye level and, to be easy to access. And the rest of the stuff can go either in like the upper cabinets or in your garage if you have one.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I think there's so much decision fatigue too that people have to deal with that just having what you need right there helps so much.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of just generally decluttering, I mean, I think we all need to do that. We all want to do that, but then it's also making time for that. So is it something that you suggest people make time and make a day? Is it something that they can maybe hire out just to kind of help make the process easier?
If you can afford it, 100% hire it out because life gets in the way. Things, take precedence to organizing. But when you have somebody who can look at your stuff with fresh eyes and help you through that process, it's amazing. If you can't do that, then, making it easy on you. For instance, like sometimes I have a lot of clothes. I have a lot of clothes because I have like stuff that I wear normally, like for my everyday, but then I have like TV clothes that are so bright. Like it's not anything I would wear to go to Trader Joe's. So I sometimes when I'm getting dressed, no matter what, like I'll look at something that is way old, doesn't fit me anymore, or I just don't like. And I have this hamper that is in the corner. It's like a basket that I throw things in. And every 2 weeks, I take that, put it in a nice bag, and take it to be donated. So it's not about like organizing. It's just throwing it in. It's just throw it in, and then I don't go through it again. I just put it right to donating because I think a lot of people go through that again. They're like, well, maybe I'll wear this to a luau, and
Yes.
maybe I'll wear this. Yeah, it's like, no, girl, you're not going to wear it to a luau. Just donate it to somebody who's going to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely happens to me. And I think also with sizing, sometimes we're like, oh, we're in different stage of our life, or maybe we've gained weight and they're like, well, I'm going to keep these skinny jeans. So I think, that could be helpful. But I think there are a lot of things we think we're going to wear, but we
Right.
don't.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, Now, what about in terms of when we think about the nervous system and we think about our wake up routine and our wind down routine, which is so, so important. And is there anything that you would recommend in a bedroom in a way to make us wind down better?
I love the 5 minute journal. I like love, love. I wish I would have invented it. I love it so much. Are you familiar with it?
No.
Okay. So it's really a journal that you can fill out in 5 minutes, hence the name. But you start your morning with the things that you're grateful for, and then what can make today great. And then at the end of the day, it takes minutes. I have it on my nightstand, and it's like you just write great things happened that day, what could have been better. And it's just a wonderful way to like revisit the day and force yourself to be grateful for things. I absolutely love that. Obviously, being off your phone, but it's easier said than done. But of course, being off your phone at least an hour before you go to bed is ideal. It's just a lot of people just don't do that. So I'm being realistic here. But winding down in a space that's uncluttered, even, like when you have a lot of clutter on a chair, laundry that's piling up, things that are visible in your bedroom, it actually causes your cortisol levels to go up too. That just causes stress and restless sleep. So just making sure that your bedroom is a place for rest and relaxation and not for laundry and clutter on your nightstands and stuff that you have to get done.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, is there something that you want to make sure you don't have in your bedroom?
I will definitely clutter. Clutter even underneath your bed. People are like, well, I don't see it. It's like, no, actually, the energetics
Oh,
behind that is awful. So,
okay.
clutter, getting rid of that in your bedroom, especially. I mean, it's just so important. Having like cozy textiles. And if you can't afford like new linens, even just a really soft pillowcase, something that you lay your head down every day, just even making those small little changes, clearing out your nightstands. And then, studies show that the TV shouldn't be in your bedroom, but I know a lot of people just are like, no way, I don't care, I need it. I am not a TV watcher, so it's not in mine. I don't have that, but I know a lot of people need to go to sleep to TV. But maybe just paring it down a little bit before bed would be helpful. I love reading. It puts me to sleep, but I mean, if you could try it, I would love it. I mean, I would love for you to at least try it one night.
Yeah, for sure. Now, do you have favorite type of lighting for the bedroom? Because, overhead lighting can be really harsh, especially right before bed. What do you use and what do you recommend?
I am not a fan of fluorescent lighting. The daylight bulbs, I can't stand them when I see them in a bedroom. It just feels so clinical and it's like a hospital room. So soft white light all the way, dimmable. And if you can't do like if you could buy them on Amazon, like a dimmable switch to put your nightstand lamps on soft white bulbs, and be able to dim them 100%.
Perfect. Yeah. Now, what about light boxes? How do you feel about those?
What do you mean by light boxes?
So, like that simulate dawn or
Oh,
dusk. Yeah,
I don't have one. I've been dying to try them. So, do you have one at your house?
I do. I do. I
And
really
how
like it.
I've been wanting to try it. I saw there's two things. When I've been wanting to try that and also the alarm. Have you seen
Yes.
the ones?
So
I
I have one of those, though I have to be honest, it's kind of big and it's a contraption. My husband got it for one of my birthdays in the past, and it kind of just felt too complicated, but it looks really cool. I just have one that like I look at in the morning just to kind of get some sunlight if there's no sunlight outside, like through that in my eyes. But I do have the whole alarm and the whole set.
Oh my gosh,
But
but I
I
know it looks so cool online. But light is so important. We are so inundated, especially with our phones, like the blue light coming off of our phones, which is why I said that to try to get off your phone as much as possible. But with our circadian rhythm, with all of the different, like, that's why it's important to get the sunlight into your eyes in the morning, you know? So if you can wake up with sunlight and not draw like the blackout curtains, it's really great for your well-being and for your health. I know a lot of people just don't like that to be woken up. They don't like to wake up with sunlight, but if I don't like to have these really strict rules for people. Everyone is different, but if you could make small little micro changes to allow more of the natural elements in, like the real daylight in the morning instead of these harsh bulbs, like you don't need fluorescent bulbs in your home, especially not at night.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I actually have my husband open the shade, so he likes things pitch dark. Like he puts stickers over like the light of like, any little thing, like any, I mean, we try not to have electronics in the room, but whatever is there that has like the light, even like on the air purifier, like we cover that with a shirt and like he can't sleep. And so over the years, he's kind of trained me to sleep in pitch dark. So now it's actually a funny story. I think I've told this before, but if we go on vacation, he'll take like black garbage bags to like line the windows because like I can't sleep
He's
like
that
this.
guy.
He's that guy. He's that guy. And I think I'm becoming that girl just over the many, many years. Like I've like been trained to sleep in the dark. However, I find with this, it's a lot harder to wake up because in the past, like, I mean, we're going back to like, 20 something years in my 20s when I lived in New York City and like before him and I met, there's a lot of light. And so it didn't bother my sleep then, but in the morning, it was so much easier to wake up because it was just this natural light. Now I do sleep really well, but if one of the kids come in or the alarm goes off, I'm like, what is it? What day is
What
it? Like,
time
what's
is it?
happening?
It's like
What's
5 o'clock in the afternoon.
yeah. So he gets up before me. So he will actually like gently open the shades just a little bit to allow the light in. And that really, really helps.
Yeah.
Or that's also where those like the simulating dawn lights can help as well. Not the fluorescent ones, of course, but
Yeah, yeah, of course.
yeah. Yeah. But the sunlight is so important. And I think for people with thyroid issues, but really any health issue, there's so many little things like you're saying. And I think we really underestimate, how much the little things can really make a difference. And, I think the clutter especially is just like, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is such a big deal. It's just so much noise for our nervous system.
100%. And it's like what you just said, like we don't even notice. You know why? We're so inundated. We're so um just like there's so much going on in our lives. There's so much between social media, our phones, our emails, our this, the kids' schedule, your schedule, like where it's so much that's going in that we're like, oh, I'm okay. I'm not that stressed. But I think we're just used to carrying the weight that we just kind of forgot how heavy it is.
Hmm.
So just because you think it's not affecting you, it is. And I'm sure your listeners know how important our mental health is to our physical health. It all boils down to that. And so, if we can make our lives a little bit more manageable, you'd be shocked how much you just like we'll start to feel better physically.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things that you say is, a lot of the transformation really starts with intention. And, I think it kind of just comes into this like that intention of decluttering our lives, our house, but also, and you mentioned like looking at friendships, looking at other things, like what is draining our energy. And I think that's so important.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example. It's just like the friendship that I was talking about earlier. I would be on the phone sometimes for half an hour a day, listening to venting and gossiping and BS. And then I would get off the phone. I'm like, well, at least it's not my BS and it's not my like, but what I didn't realize is I was like carrying that load, just unknowingly, I was carrying this like stress and I'm not saying, of course, you have to be there for your friends sometimes, but if it's like this constant badgering of your energy, constant like weighing down, and it's a one-sided relationship, you need to realize like it is affecting your physical health. Whether you want to admit it or not, it is.
Yeah. And I think for so many people, women especially, and then if you add thyroid issues on top of that, a lot of people with thyroid issues, not that I'm generalizing, but I guess a little bit, we tend to, in addition to being empathic, we also are sometimes afraid to say no, right? Because what would someone think? And I don't want to be that person. And, we give. And, part of that and really suppressing our own needs and our voice is where some of the thyroid issues come in the first place. But I think it's hard for people they might realize it, but it's hard for them to make those changes. Do you have any advice on that? If they know a friendship maybe isn't serving them, how do we kindly move away from that?
I know. I have a friend of mine. Her name is Terry Cole. She writes about this all the time. She actually wrote a book called Boundary Boss,
Oh, I
and
love Terry.
I love Terry so much. I think that, I'm a recovering people pleaser and also, high functioning codependent woman. I understand it's because we're so used to giving and being the martyr, like, oh, gets it before us. We're always eating the burnt toast. And that when we start to shift that and create boundaries and start saying no when we want to, it feels really weird and it feels selfish and it feels like we're being bad friends or bad moms or bad sisters or bad daughters or fill in the bad, right?
Right.
It's not that. It's just because we are so used to being the giver all the time that it's a new feeling and it feels bad. And yes, people are going to be disappointed. And you know what? Too bad. Too bad, because you know who's been disappointed for the last 10 years? Me. I've disappointed myself, and it's time, it's okay. And yes, it might be a little bit of a learning curve for yourself and for the people in your life, but I promise you sooner or later it's gonna work itself out and you're gonna feel so much happier. Now, I mentioned I'm writing a book and I don't have as much time to talk on the phone just to catch up with my friends. And it was weird at first because I don't have the time, but it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much time I was giving away of myself too. So it's about creating priorities, and your priorities should be yourself and your family.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's also thinking about what your time is really worth. So I love that you're saying that. I remember talking to one of my coaches about it, and she's like, you need to treat your time like it's like $10,000 an hour or more,
A hundred
right?
percent,
Like,
100%. Yes. Yes, all day long. And whatever you make an hour, whatever. So, it'd be great if you make $10,000 an hour. Bravo, girl. But if you are on the phone for half an hour listening to your friend vent every single day, how much are you really giving away there?
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I love what you're saying that it's like, yeah, people might be disappointed, but guess what? Like, you're the one that's been disappointed your whole life, probably. And it's time
Yes.
to put you first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in putting yourself first, it's such a amazing um sort of snowball that starts because you put yourself first, you feel better, your self-esteem starts going up, new opportunities start coming into your life, new friendships start coming into your life, new connections, new this, new that. You have more energy, you feel better. Now you're getting out of bed. It's a win-win. I promise you. It might feel icky at first, but just keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Right. I mean, that's really the basis of manifesting, right? Like you start doing the things and you feel good. Emily Fletcher talks a lot about this. It's like feel good, place the order, feel good, place the order. And like
Yes.
that's how it goes. Now, what about doing things before you're ready? Because I know that was such a big part of your story, right? When you were saying that you had that moment, you applied, and then you went and you didn't actually know that much about design back then from what you shared, but yet you did it anyway and you learned on the job and you figured it out, which is, I mean, just thinking about that, honestly, like I feel like I have a pit in my stomach because it feels so scary, but like
If
we
you
all should do
only
more of that.
knew, I'm writing about it now. I've never told this story before, the truth of what really happened during those years of my life. I can't wait for you to read the book because it's a story that anybody who reads is going to be like, holy baloney. Like, if she can do it, then I can fill in the blank. Here's what without giving the story away, without like, because I want everyone to read it, but here's the gist. The fake it till you make it needs to happen in your life. But, and when you get the opportunity, you need to work to keep it. So, yes, you are going to feel so uncomfortable when you get an opportunity. You're like, I am not qualified to do this. Yeah, you're probably not. So, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to educate yourself? How are you going to get yourself to the point that you are qualified? And that is by doing. So I say this can be possible. I don't recommend it for surgeons or doctors.
Right.
Don't do not fake it till you make it there. But if it's something creative, it's something that you feel like you're just not there yet, just put yourself out there. I promise you, if you do the work, if you put in the work, you will fill those shoes sooner or later. It is going to be hard work because it did take me a lot of like lack of sleep and just staying up really late, busting my ass to get to the when I was to get to the point that yes, I was faking it, but at least I was like putting in, the hours.
Right.
Yeah, it was not easy, but I'm so glad that I didn't give up on myself.
Yeah. And so am I. And so are so many people that you have helped and inspired and transformed. Now, this book that you're writing, when is that going to come out?
December of 2026. I had no idea how long it takes for books to come out. So the manuscript's due on Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
Um, I'm like I'm happy that I'm taking a break to talk to you and your listeners because I needed like a mental little break. But it's so exciting and it is my passion to be able to talk about the connection between home and mindset and manifesting your best life because I promise you who's ever listening to this, if you feel stuck, if you feel like you want to make a change, you just don't know how to, like it's not about the overnight, oh, that thing changed my life. It's like, yeah, that happens in movies, but it's about the micro changes every day that really change your life. Yes, it happens once in a while that it's this huge overnight success, but that's really not for the most part true. It's taken me, I mean, my first HGTV job was in 2006, and I'm coming out with my first real book that I'm so like it's my passion. So 19 years later, it's not overnight. It's not overnight.
Right. But it's all those steps, they all add up and they made you what you are, who you are,
Yes. And
which
like
is
I'm getting married in December to the love of my life, like my dream partner. And I'm going to be 49 this year, you know? You're never too old. It's never too late. You've never missed out on, you're never, getting into something that's oversaturated. It's been done before. It's like, I'm sick of people saying that because the guy who started, or the girl, I shouldn't, like the person who started Lyft could have been like, no, Uber's already there. It's like there's room.
yes.
Just do it differently. Set yourself apart from how everyone else is doing it. And there's no other you in this world. There's only one of you.
So true. So true. So, Sabrina, you're such an inspiration. This has been so helpful. Thank you so much. Now, how can people find you, learn more about you, connect with you, tell us about your new show, which is amazing.
Yes.
Like, I love
Okay.
how you
So
combine it all.
the Sabrina Soto show is streaming now on Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Hulu, Roku, Tubi, DirecTV, and Samsung. So you can find it everywhere. And then I'm always on social media, Facebook and Instagram. I read my DMs, so DM me. I love reading DMs from people who listen to my podcast. My podcast is Redesigning Life. And then my new book will be out in December. So hopefully you'll have me back on so I could talk about it.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I can't wait. Thank you so much for being here. I
Thank
so
you so
appreciate it.
much.
It's great.
Thank you
We'll
for
talk
your
soon.
time.